Johnny. Hayes.
I want you to meet Forky.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hamburger, this is small fry.
Roger, small fry.
McDonald's now has 20 toys from Disney and Pixar's Toy Story 2. There's one of either Woody, Jesse, or the rest of the gang in every Happy Meal.
Potato Head, you're there too. Did somebody say McDonald's?
In November of 1995, the world was introduced to a cowboy, his new friend a space ranger, and a bedroom full of toys ranging from a dinosaur and a pig to a slinky and a couple of potatoes. Over the next 15 years, they would go on to create one of the greatest trilogies in film history, becoming marketing giants, cultural touchstones of the medium of animation, and lifelong friends of children and adults alike all around the world. In November of 2018, the world was introduced to a spork. Since the day Toy Story 4 was announced, its development has been plagued by the same question over and over again. Why? Why do we need another Toy Story movie? Toy Story 3 has a perfect ending. We all saw it. We all cried. There's no reason to make a fourth. And I'll admit, I was more or less in that camp, but I was still very excited and very anxious about seeing this movie, because Toy Story is my favorite, and personally, I believe the best series ever put to film. And god damn it, they got me. I think they proved us all wrong by not only making an incredible movie, but also making an ending that's even better than Toy Story 3's. There's a lot of reasons for this, and for your benefit, so this video doesn't read like the rantings of a madman, I'm going to try and break down all my reasoning into 5 sections. Existentialism, purpose, agency, self-care, and then why all of this makes this movie better than the movie we all drained our tear ducts to 8 years ago. Buckle in, grab a nice big bowl of cheese balls and some arcade pizza while I pour my heart out about why Toy Story 4 is the actual perfect ending to a perfect series. I'm not sure if there is a movie series, definitely not one directed at children, that handles such a broad theme as existence on such a wide scope as the Toy Story movies. From Buzz needing to accept what he is and learn to live with his limitations as a chunk of plastic instead of as an intergalactic space ranger, to Jessie needing to accept her abandonment by Emily and find some peace in the fact that the one person who cared about her outgrew her in what is one of the most heart-wrenching scenes in movie history, to the literal face of death in the form of incineration, forcing you into watching all of your favorite characters from childhood accept the fact that death is something that comes for all of us. The whole Keanu Reeves theory that if you've made a positive impact on the lives of the people you love, death doesn't need to be scary.
What do you think happens when we die, Keanu Reeves?
I know that the ones who love us will miss us.
Which is a lot. But these movies have always kind of existed in that space of being a lot, and not being afraid to let kids know that it's okay that there is a lot. Toy Story 4 takes this up a notch once again by having an entire character's existence within the movie being a question of existence. Forky brings up a lot of questions. He's a textbook example of what it means to be unbelievably existential. He has no idea why he's alive. He doesn't really think he should exist. He recognizes that he's plastic trash and that he should be thrown away, and this destroys the fabric of his reality for the majority of the first act of the movie. A topic the movie quickly doesn't have to worry about once Woody gives Forky a reason to not be horribly existential all the time. That reason, of course, being that he has the ability to make Bonnie so happy. You can literally freeze frame the moment where Forky turns and is suddenly sprung to life with a sense of meaning and purpose, pretty quickly tying up something that the other movies don't really address by taking it to the furthest extreme that it possibly can. In past Toy Story movies, the sense of belonging tackled was more one of where you belong in the world, accepting that we ultimately only have so much control over our lives, and sometimes that can lead to a sense of feeling lost, disposable, or angry, and how part of life is needing to adapt and grow to those situations. A concept that is very easy to explore with characters that are very small and breakable, whose entire existence is determined by beings that don't even know they're sentient. Toy Story 4 shoots for something much larger by finally asking the questions of why do we exist at all? At no point in the other 3 Toy Story movies do the toys stop and think about that they are in fact completely sentient. And Toy Story 4 performs the ultimate bait and switch by making everyone think that the movie is only going to be about that. Why do we exist in the world? What power created us as such complex and detailed beings that it goes as far as allowing us to be able to recognize that we exist, but never gives us an answer? And about 35 minutes into the movie, Toy Story 4 gives us that answer, which is simply just, we don't get to know. But we know that we are here, so while we are here, we need to find what brings us and others around us the joy that we would all need to push forward and make the world a better place. We need to find our purpose. My read on Toy Story 4 is that everything it builds upon and has to say is about purpose. Woody is a character whose purpose has been made abundantly clear through the course of this franchise. It's no coincidence that every movie features Woody doing two things: being loyal to his kid, usually Andy, and making sure that all the other toys feel like they also have a purpose, which is just making their kid happy. He teaches Buzz this in the first movie, Jessie in the second, and the group of misfit daycare toys in the third, and then he teaches Forky in Toy Story 4. This entire movie's marketing seemed like it was going to be the smoothest walk in the park ever for our valiant hero. He can make any toy realize that they can be loved. But it had us all believing that this would just be the quote-unquote hardest challenge yet, which it proved not to be at all, while still being his most impactful regardless. Woody convinces Forky that he has purpose very quickly, and wastes no time reminding us that at his core, he is just very, very good at what he does, even to a point of a near dangerous obsession. Woody isn't even being played with anymore by the time we see him in 4, and we know it's getting to him. But even despite not showing him any attention, Woody is determined to try and make Bonnie's life better, whether she likes it or not. In the process of this intervention, he accidentally helps create Forky, who upon his arrival insists that his existence is against God. Even then, Woody refuses to let any of the other toys help him deal with guiding Forky down the right path. He wants to do it on his own so that he can get the joy he needs of knowing that his purpose is fulfilled. Seeing that Woody created Forky is when I started to really realize how much I liked this movie. At this point in his life, Woody is literally just creating the conflict of a previous Toy Story movie just so that he can solve the problem and feel like he still has a reason to exist. And he does it. By the 25-minute mark, he had made Bonnie happy by making Forky realize his importance and giving him a reason not to jump in the trash. Ironically enough for Woody, though, his own creation being so insistent on constantly asking questions and talking about the hard and scary parts of consciousness that most try not to dwell on, accidentally starts Woody on a path of questioning his own purpose. Being seemingly unwilling to let go of his attachment to Andy, we start to see signs of Woody questioning what he's been destined to do all of these movies is really where he belongs. To paraphrase a very good observation by noted Toy Story scholar Griffin Newman, hi, brief sidebar here. I don't exactly know where he said it first, and while revisiting and rewriting this script, I didn't want to go back through hours of content to find the exact quote and then end up listening to said conversations about Toy Story and accidentally parroting too much of someone else's discussion of these movies. Check the description though for links to various Griffin appearances where you can hear him wax poetic about Toy Story. He is very good at it. These movies are structured around a very legible win and loss system that allows for a lot of coincidental story beats to happen without feeling lazy or too easy. I'll use this segment where they're trying to figure out how to get Woody back from Toy Story 2 as an example. The goal is clearly set up. They recognize Al from Etch-a-Sketch's drawing and now need to find out how to get to Al's toy barn. The toys have a win when they find the address from the commercial, then a loss when they realize they are toys and they are small, and getting to Al's toy barn is a very long way for a small toy to go. Them even finding the ad playing on a channel the minute they stop to look for it is a coincidence. But it doesn't feel too easy because the conflicts come baked into the cake. Coincidental things happen to further the narrative, but they rarely happen without also clearly setting up a new problem for the toys to overcome. Forky might be the largest scale version of that phenomenon in the series. The problem set up being that Woody does not think Bonnie will do well in school. Then we get a win, with Bonnie being happier because of Forky, a loss because of Forky's insistence that he has to die, and a coincidence that the plotline of Forky is part of the movie now. That Woody created has caused him to question his core belief of what successful life as a toy even is. Is helping Bonnie really what he needs to be doing? Is this really where he can be the most useful? Is this where he's the happiest? This pattern is applied once again when Forky, pulling a move Woody is famous for, jumps out of a moving vehicle, leading to the heart-to-heart conversation between the two of them that solves all of Forky's problems, coincidentally, leading Woody directly to the one person who might be able to push him to re-find his purpose, Bo Peep. Now, I need to take a tiny tangent from this video because in this scene where he gets to talk to Bo for the first time, right after the incredible scene of the two of them seeing each other while in toy mode, we get to see the character that immediately embodies everything about purpose you would ever need to see in a character. Arctic Combat Carl knows that his purpose is to be the funniest joke I've ever seen in a movie. I kid you not, last time I saw this movie in theaters was on like a Sunday night at 10:30, several weeks after its release. I was the only one there, and I laughed like a mad king at this joke in a completely empty theater. I couldn't really fit him in anywhere else, and I really like this guy. Seriously though, Bo Peep in this movie is at a point in her life completely opposite from Woody. Woody's entire life is indebted to the happiness of his kid and making sure that everyone around his one kid understands their purpose so that in the end they can make the kid they all share very happy. Bo doesn't have any of those limitations. She is living entirely for herself and has been successfully for some time. After being convinced by Woody to go on their mission of saving Forky, we realize that Bo Peep is just as good at what she does as Woody. Her inspirational speech with Duke Kaboom, making him feel like he can finally do the jump that he never thought possible, is extremely reminiscent of Woody's various calls to action with other toys. All of this leads to Woody and Bo both needing to come to the moment of discovery after saving Forky of just how important what they do is and how good at it they are. Going another step further to even help out the main antagonist Gabby Gabby before the credits roll. Both Woody and Bo Peep are forced to acknowledge that their purposes may have changed along their journey, but they're both being faced with an opportunity to pursue what they both excel at, giving other toys a home. Of course, the path to this wasn't just being presented the chance and both of them taking it immediately, it needed to be something that they both had to actively choose. Which brings us to our next section. A common complaint I've seen with this movie is people's dismissal of Buzz Lightyear's role in the film. Being the co-star of the franchise and a fan favorite, Buzz not being given as much of the spotlight as Woody is a valid reason to be upset. However, I would argue that 4 and the franchise as a whole are about Woody, but that doesn't mean I don't love what they've done with Buzz. In my opinion, he's used to reinforce a secondary theme, and that's agency. The voice, that's talked about at several points, is a way that we can see the characters within the movie attempting to reason with what it means to have agency in their own lives and take control of their fate based on what they think their purpose is. Buzz's misunderstanding of what Woody means by inner voice isn't just a clever punchline for some fun, toy-based humor, but it's used as a learning moment for Buzz to need to discover how it is that Woody does what he does. Despite being a natural hero that he is, Buzz isn't Woody. He doesn't have the same passion for life as Woody, he doesn't have the same nuance with words, he doesn't have the same patience for teaching toys about their purpose, but he also isn't paranoid and neurotic because of all of this. So, being the well-meaning, generally heroic person that he is, Buzz uses the literal voice inside him of his voice box to tell him what to do throughout the movie, and through this we see him slowly realize the ineffectiveness of this tactic, and learn that he needs to think beyond the boundaries of the set phrases that were installed within him. We see this first when Buzz doesn't like the outcome of what his voice has to say and then tries to get a different voice line from the box, all to no avail. This culminates with the van about to leave when Buzz breaks free from what this version of the voice tells him, so that he can do what he knows is right. This is the more comedic side of it, obviously, but the real moment when Buzz's transformation to someone who has full control and understanding of his internal voice is right at the end of the movie, when he tells Woody that Bonnie won't miss him if he goes on to live with Bo Peep. Buzz learns to have the agency that Woody has to truly find within himself what he knows is right instead of needing to use the factory settings that come with every Buzz Lightyear. The other character who follows along this narrative is Gabby Gabby. Gabby is a character who thinks she knows what her purpose is. She's sure that she's meant to be with Harmony, to be the perfect doll, and that she'll make her kid happier than ever. To perfectly follow her factory settings determined by the book of her namesake. She keeps herself in mint condition, finds a nice little kid who looks exactly like the one in her book, to the point where Harmony even plays tea time just like Gabby does. We even see Gabby practicing alongside from the China hutch to be as close to the source as possible. The only thing missing from this perfect equation she's crafted in her head is a working voice box. The book says that you need the voice box because Gabby has to be able to talk, but of course no toy would willingly give up their voice box, as without a voice box, the toy is practically broken, and as we know, a kid is much less likely to play with a broken toy. This makes Gabby, especially on rewatches, the most tragic part of this movie. She isn't like Lotso or Stinky Pete, where they're driven by spite or neglect. Gabby just wants to be what she's told she has to be. And of course, once she gets it, she's tossed aside with little hesitation. By this point of the movie, Woody had even given up his working voice box to her. Gabby got everything she wanted. She kept her promises, treated the people she interacted with all nicely enough, all for 30 seconds of pure joy and hope immediately being crushed. This is a long, explainy way of saying that this is Toy Story 4's way of saying that the voice within you is deeper than just the quotes you might live by or what everyone else thinks that you might be or tells you that you need to be. It doesn't matter what your book says you should do. It doesn't matter what your voice box says you should do. It doesn't even matter if your voice box works. It's entirely about the agency of putting yourself out there despite how scary and confusing the world might be. Pushing through times when life can be seemingly senselessly cruel to you, and finding what makes you happy. I've talked a lot about all of the ways that this story pushes these characters to make new and tough decisions in the face of adversity. But the message that Toy Story 4 is sending to its viewers is to make sure that whatever you're doing, do it because it's making you happy. That where your real purpose lies is at the intersection of happiness and skill, and encouraging you to take the necessary steps to put yourself in that position. Woody is a character that I love and relate to because he's just always stressed and overworking himself for what he sees as his ultimate goal of having everyone around him be pleased at all times. He spends 3 whole movies and multiple shorts being stressed out of his mind and then saving the day, which is a valid reason to work so hard, and as I've mentioned, he's obviously very good at it. But at a certain point, this relationship with what is essentially his work became very toxic, and it became harder and harder for him to recognize if he was even happy with what he did anymore. So it forces him to use that inner voice and really assess what it is that makes him happy, and suddenly this becomes part of the equation. By the end of Toy Story 4, all of the characters we love have taken this into account. Gabby knows that she wants to help make a kid happy and knows that she'll be good at it, so with the assistance of Woody, Bo, and their friends, she finds a kid and helps them. Bo Peep realizes that she has the capability to make so many more toys and kids' lives better by being a lost toy, and that it's more emotionally fulfilling than just living on your own and fending for yourself. Buzz realizes that he has the ability to lead independently and make decisions on his own without needing to ask Woody what the next move is. He also realizes the importance of his friend leaving and pursuing what makes him happy and what he's so clearly talented at. And Woody realizes that as much as he loves his friends, he can't be truly happy staying stagnant living in Bonnie's closet. He needs more out of life. He needs to use the gift that he has to make more people's lives better and let go of the constant nagging of trying to fight for the affection of people who he just can't win over no matter how much he tries. And that's okay. All of this taken into account, I think it makes a more poignant ending than that of Toy Story 3, specifically for Woody. If the series were to have ended at 3, Woody would be nearly in the same place he was from the beginning of Toy Story 1. Sure, he would have new friends, he would be in a different room, and he will have lived a much more exciting life, but he would still be just that, a toy in a room trying to make a kid happy. That may have worked while Andy was a kid like in the first Toy Story, but we're not there anymore. Change is necessary, change is important, and hell yeah, change is scary. But Toy Story 4 is a reaffirmation that change can make you happier than you ever thought possible when the world was contained inside 4 walls of a childhood bedroom. Thank you for making it through my first attempt at one of these videos. If you liked what you saw, subscribe for more. I'm not exactly sure when my next project will be ready to go live, but the best way to keep up with my goings-on are to follow my Twitter @JohnnyHayes. Also, I created all of the art for this, so if you want to see more of that, or other original art that I make, you can hit me up at my Instagram at the same handle. Or, if you enjoyed hearing me talk about movies, you can follow my Letterboxd, also at Johnny Hayes. Links for all of that, along with the Griffin Newman Toy Story sources, are in the description, and since I love discussion of these movies, leave a comment telling me your favorite side character throughout the Toy Story series. I personally might have to go with Zurg or Ken from 3, because I'm a big fan of Michael Keaton.
We have visual contact.
Go, go, go! Make way for the pig.
Howdy, partners.
Climb aboard. Carnivores versus pork bellies.
You're on, old school.
Your mission, get there. The all-new attraction, Toy Story Mania. It's 4D.
4D?